Today we're talking about abs. I'm going to show you what level of body fat percentage you'd need to be to see your abs, and we're going to talk about whether it's even realistic for you. Now, if you feel frustrated about your abs, I totally get it. I have a body type that stores fat on the stomach, so I understand how you feel. Today we're going to talk about the effort required to get abs so that you understand more about what you would need to do, and I'm also going to tell you about my personal experience trying to get abs. And overall, we are going to be answering the question of whether it's even worth it. Now, most women can get great results at any age in terms of their muscle mass, building a nice shape, and getting stronger. All of that is totally possible. But when it comes to getting abs, it does require significantly more work. And the first thing I want you to understand is what level of body fat you would need to be to actually see your abs. What I'm going to do is give you a bit of a visual guide. And if you want to look into this more, I have actually created a body fat comparison table for you. And I'm going to leave a link to that in the description of this video. I've created that over on my website, femalefitnesssystems.com. So you can pop over there and learn more if you want. But today I'm going to run you through the relevant levels of body fat when it comes to trying to see your abs. So the first level of body fat I wanted to talk about is between about 24 to 29% body fat. Now, this is a nice, healthy level of body fat. You can still have a very nice shape at this level and look healthy and fit. So for a lot of women, it's definitely achievable, but your abs are not likely to be visible at this level. You're likely going to have to drop a little bit lower. The next level I wanted to talk about is between about 21 to 23%, which is where you're going to start to see a slight outline of your abs. So this is a great range for many women. It's achievable. And at this level, you're going to feel lean, but you're still likely to have some feminine curves. Overall, you're still going to look quite healthy. And then between about 18 to 20% is where your abs are going to start to become more noticeable, and likely for most women, you're going to have less curves. So this is more of an athletic look and definitely requires a much higher level of consistency with your training and nutrition. And then we get into the really lean range between about 15 to 17%. Now, this is where you're going to see that six pack, but it's lower than most women need to be or can even get to and maintain in the long term. It's around what you're going to see when you're looking at female bodybuilders getting ready for their competitions. It's definitely going to involve a significant trade-off when it comes to your energy, your mood, and your overall health, and we're going to talk about that more in a bit. So for most women, between about 18 to 21% body fat is where we're going to start to see abs. Now, some body types will actually see abs at higher levels of body fat, but in general, you're going to have to be on the lower side. And I just really want you to understand that this requires significant effort in terms of your training, your nutrition, and your lifestyle. And because of that, what happens is that it creates a lot of dissatisfaction with women. So I've been working with women for over a decade now, and I see this time and time again. It's a discussion that I often have to have with my ladies. They really focus on their stomach and they really feel dissatisfied with how it looks. But when it comes to the trade-offs and the work necessary to actually see abs, they're not willing to do that. They're not willing to make those trade-offs. So for example, when it comes to your social life, if you want to achieve that low body fat and to see those abs, you are really going to have to dial in your food. You're going to have to say no more often than not to eating out and to treats. There's just no wiggle room for treats. When it comes to alcohol, you're going to have little to no alcohol. And you're really going to have your sleep, your stress, and your training all dialed in. So your priority is really going to have to be getting abs, when in reality, for most women, they've got a lot of other competing priorities. And there's another big trade-off that we need to talk about that's really relevant as you get older, and that has to do with muscle mass. Now, as we age, muscle is so important. We naturally lose muscle as we get older, and we have to do everything we can to maintain it, because reduced muscle mass is linked to frailty, problems with mobility, and even chronic conditions like heart disease and cancer. So we really want to maintain as much muscle as possible. But when you're extra lean and when you're constantly on an extreme diet, it gets very hard to build muscle and retain it. So I really want you to understand this. When you are always on a diet, when you're chasing that certain level of leanness, it comes at an expense to muscle mass. So when you lose weight, it's not just fat loss, you lose muscle and strength as well. It's just the way it works. And your bone density can take a hit too. So when you're really lean, it comes at an expense to estrogen. And maintaining optimal estrogen levels is really important for bone density as you get older. And given how common osteoporosis is, it's just so important that we are focusing on nourishing our bodies and looking after our bones rather than chasing abs and having a super low body fat. And there are other consequences too. So when you suppress estrogen and progesterone, especially in perimenopause, you're going to make any symptoms that you already have worse. So things like poor moods, low libido, bad sleep, all of that's going to get worse when you're chronically dieting, when you're trying to be too lean, when you're doing too much. And ironically, I've actually seen this time and time again with my ladies. The more somebody pushes, the more stress they have, the more pressure they put on themselves, the worst results they tend to get. And when it comes to belly fat and stress, when you have higher stress, you're more likely to put on belly fat. So it's a really negative cycle and something that you really have to be aware of as you get older. So all of this just comes at such a high cost and really makes getting abs difficult, especially once you hit your 40s and beyond. And I also wanted to talk about my own personal experience with trying to get abs. So I have a body type that needs to be on the lean side to see visible abs, and I have tried to get abs before for photo shoots, and the trade-off was just not worth it. So I hit a certain level of leanness and I just start to get really emotionally unstable. I remember I was crying all the time. I had poor energy. I was really anxious. It's really normal for all of that to be part of the process. And for somebody getting ready for a competition, maybe it's worth it. But for myself personally, it's just not worth it. I have a history of low bone density. So in my early 20s, because I was so lean and active and not fueling properly, I ended up with osteopenia and my estrogen was super low. And I worked really hard to reverse that by gaining weight, by eating more, by maintaining healthy body fat levels. And so in my own life, pursuing abs is just not worth it. On social media, it would be great if I could be out there with ripped abs because, you know, as a fitness coach, it would be great if I could look the part, but it's more important for me to be healthy and to know that I'm taking care of my bones in the long term. So I hope this video helped you understand what's involved with actually getting abs, and now you can answer the question of whether it's worth it for you. And if you decide it's not, then it's really important you make peace with that decision and stop focusing so much on how your stomach looks and focus on other things like being strong, building a great shape, and just overall longevity. And the other thing I wanted to say is that when you are on social media, it's really important that you stop comparing yourself to what you see there. Always remember that fitness influencers know how to take a good photo. They know how to manipulate their diet, their body. They know how to pose. They put on tan to make themselves look better, to make themselves look leaner. There's just so much that they do to make themselves look good in a photo, and it's not realistic. It's not how they look in real life, and it's just not something that you should be measuring yourself against. So that's it for me today. Can you please do me a favor? If you found the video helpful, give it a like and leave me a message in the comments. That really helps my channel and I would appreciate it so much. And remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already so you catch more videos like this one. I do have more about the abs planned in the near future, so if you subscribe, you won't miss those. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you again next time.